Hi everybody. So I just tried to do a video and I did a really long one and then it won't let me post to Facebook because the file's too big. So I'm going to try and condense it down and do a smaller one. I just watched a video that my friend Sophie posted on Facebook about a Muslim newscaster talking about all the terrible things that have been happening in the world lately, and how the basis of our reaction is always fear. And how that fear causes us to be on. He was talking about us kind of being on a gravitron ride. You know, the one at the fun fair that you get on and it spins you around really fast and the G-force sticks you to the side. And he was saying the longer that we're on it, the harder it is for us to try and reach out and connect with people. Like, it takes so much strength to pull yourself away from that and reach out to somebody else. And it made me think about sort of my fundamental kind of how I coach, like, fundamentally is about understanding. And when I coach a client, or I even when I just talk to people in the street, my motivation is to try and understand them, really understand them. And I think as a population or a country or a world, perhaps we struggle to understand people on a level that we need to in order for us to stop being so fearful of them. When my example that I thought about on a tiny scale is spiders, spiders and wasps. So I don't like spiders and I'm really scared of wasps, because I know that wasps can hurt me. And I know that they don't really care about me and they'll sting me if they want to, if I get in their way or whatever. So when I see a spider in my bath or I see a wasp flying around my living room, I'm fearful. That's my first go-to reaction is fear, and I just want them to go away. And with the spider, I have two choices about how I react to that spider. I can either go and get a glass and some paper and try and kind of scoop it up and put it outside safely, or I can just go and get like a Yellow Pages, if they even do Yellow Pages anymore, chuck it down on top of it and just walk away. Either way, the spider's gone and I feel safer. I'm not as fearful anymore because it's not there. But the ways that I choose to do it tell me a lot about myself. And it takes so much more strength of mind for me to go and get that glass and keep that spider safe than it does for me to just chuck a book down on top of it, not worry about what happens to it or how it felt or if it felt pain, and just walk away knowing that it's not there anymore. Wasps, even worse. Wasps can hurt me. And they're like even worse than spiders. I just don't want them around me at all, and I freak out and I react really badly and I run around flapping my arms. So for me to try and save a wasp is, I've done it loads of times where I've just got a can of spray on it and let it die and just thought, good, I'm glad it's gone. But actually, it's because that's easier for me than to try to understand that it's just doing its thing, and it was created that way, and I should be able to find the strength to try and keep it safe and put it outside. If I was to try and understand spiders a bit more and understand, how they work, their hierarchical structure, if they live in communities, if they've got families, if I tried to do that and I did the same with wasps, maybe it would take a little bit of the fear away. But regardless, if I choose to react with the option of just killing them, I have to think about the kind of person that makes me. If I respond with hatred to that thing that I'm scared of, I have to think about the sort of person it makes me. And it makes me the sort of person that doesn't understand them, doesn't take the time to try and understand them, and doesn't take the time to value them for the thing they are, even though they're very different to me, and even though I don't agree with what they do. I don't agree that wasps should be allowed to go around stinging people. But if I try to understand where it's coming from, then perhaps I can understand why it does the things that it does. It doesn't do it it hasn't got, like a malice against me. It just is a wasp. So if we times that by infinity and we look at the things that are happening around the world, people are reacting with fear, and they don't care about, how you get to the outcome. They just want the outcome to happen. They just want that fear to go away and they want to feel safer. But we have to look at the consequences of throwing that metaphorical Yellow Pages on top of that metaphorical spider. Because when we respond to hatred with hatred, hatred grows. And I don't believe, people that spout vitriol about, closing the borders and letting them drown in the Med and, like terribly rounding up Muslims. Like the newscaster was saying that there was a letter published in a national Australian newspaper saying that he felt the only option was internment of Muslims, meaning lock them all up, round them all up and lock them away. How scary must that be? How scary must it be for people to read that, knowing it was allowed to be published in a national newspaper? Can you imagine? I mean, for my family, could you imagine if it had said, you know, because to combat the EDL and to combat hooliganism, all the white males are going to be locked up and sort of rounded up and locked away? How scary must it be? My husband's the nicest guy I've ever met. He's nothing like the guys that go out and march against, you know, immigration or Muslims. And yet he could be rounded up and locked away just because somebody else was doing it. That's what we're talking about. And let's be really clear and cut the shit. Muslims are not terrorists, okay? This isn't really a post about terrorism with Muslims necessarily, but it drives me absolutely fucking insane. It doesn't matter what you spout at me, what evidence you give me, Muslims are not terrorists. The same way that my husband's not a football hooligan and my dad isn't part of the EDL and I'm not, you know, going to strap a bomb to myself and blow myself up because I might have found Islam. Not that I have, but it's just not, it doesn't equate. There's no correlation between the two, and that is literally the end of the argument. There's nothing you can say to prove that Muslims are terrorists. It's just not happening. So anyway, so I just kind of wanted to talk about, you know, how understanding changes the way that we see things. And sometimes I guess things are beyond our reach of understanding. When we look at ISIS or terrorism, it takes almost too much for us to try and understand where they're coming from. But they're doing it because they believe in something the same way that we do. They fully believe in the philosophy that they live by, and that's the reason they believe they're doing the right thing. The Westboro Baptist Church is another one. They fully believe in what they're saying, even though it seems so ridiculous to us and so outside of any kind of healthy thinking. They're doing it because they believe in something, and perhaps they're responding to something that they're fearful of. The Westboro Baptist Church are terrified of God, absolutely terrified. And to us, we might say, well, that's ridiculous, but for them, it's real. And, you know, terrorists might be the same. So as much as it might be really difficult for us to try to understand those people, we can work to try and understand each other. And responding to hatred with hatred, all that's going to do is push us all to the extremes, and we're going to stay on that ride not being able to reach out to each other. I try and understand every single person that I meet, and I've had it, you know, just lately with somebody who was, for not wanting to sound like a 12-year-old girl, was mean to me. And she had her own agenda. She didn't care how I felt. I was the spider and she had the yellow pages, and she didn't take any time to do anything else. And I could have responded with, you know, my own hatred of, you know, I could have, you know, told people the secrets I knew about her. I could have lied about her. I could have got her into trouble for all manner of things. But I chose not to, because I had to think about the sort of person that would make me. And the sort of person that I want to be isn't somebody that responds to hatred with hatred. I want us to stop spreading so much hatred and start spreading a little bit of love. So there was no point to this video, really. I just felt really sad when I watched that video, and I wanted to just put it out there that understanding is the key, and we get to choose how we react, and we're all fearful. It's a scary place to be, but we don't have to be scared of each other, and we don't have to fall out with each other. I think we've probably got enough people that we can fall out with. So try and have a happy, peaceful, love-filled day, and I will speak to you soon.